The Clock Tower series. A name whispered among survival horror fans with the same uneasy reference as Alone in the Dark, Resident Evil, and Silent Hill. But Clock Tower carved out its own niche. Slow, vulnerable, atmospheric horror. No guns, no safe rooms, just you and whatever is stalking you in the dark. Today we're taking a deep dive into the entire Clock Tower franchise. We'll explore its origins, its gameplay innovations, its bizarre and branching storylines, and its spiritual successors that carried the torch long after the series slipped into obscurity. Let's begin where it all started, with human entertainment and the mind of Hifumi Kono. Clock Tower began in 1995 on the Super Famicom, developed by Human Entertainment and directed by Hifumi Kono. Kono wanted something different than the monster-centric action horror of the time. He aimed for tension, for helplessness, for the kind of dread you feel when you hear floorboards creaking in the next room. Inspired heavily by Italian horror, especially the films from Dario Argento, Kono modeled protagonist Jennifer Simpson after the actress Jennifer Connelly, taken directly from Argento's 1985 film Phenomena. The game released only in Japan, but thanks to fan translators and ROM patches, English-speaking audiences eventually got to experience it, and it became a cult classic almost overnight. A year later, Human Entertainment returned with Clock Tower for the PlayStation. This was the first entry released worldwide, and it wasn't just a remake, it was a full sequel. Jennifer returns, now older and traumatized, still trying to understand the horrors she survived. This marked Clock Tower's jump from 2D point-and-click to a hybrid 3D adventure, and it introduced multiple playable characters, branching scenarios, and a deeper look at the Barrows family legacy. The next title came in 1999, Clock Tower 2: The Struggle Within. This is the first entry of the series not directed by Hifumi Kono, and the shift in tone shows. The game centered around Alyssa Hale, a teenager cursed with a dangerous alter ego named Bates. While it kept the stalker-based formula, it moved into psychological territory, with split personalities, cult curses, and far more surreal environments. By 2000, Human Entertainment had gone out of business. The Clock Tower IP was purchased by Sunsoft, who then partnered with Capcom to create Clock Tower 3 for the PlayStation 2. Kono played no part in its development, and that absence was felt. Clock Tower 3 leaned into action-heavy cutscenes, elaborate boss fights, and high-drama storytelling. Critics were mixed, sales were disappointing, and for many fans, Clock Tower 3 marked an end of an era. The original 1995 Clock Tower has lived many lives. A PlayStation re-release titled Clock Tower: The First Fear, with added cutscenes tied more closely to the PS1 sequel, fan translations allowing players to experience the SNES version in English, and most recently Clock Tower Rewind, bringing the classic to modern platforms, preserving it for newer generations. Even as the series faded, its first entry remained the most iconic. Clock Tower's gameplay is deceptively simple and brutally effective. Players control a cursor, clicking on objects, doors, and pathways to guide Jennifer through the Barrows mansion. You can run, walk, investigate, push, and climb, but running drains Jennifer's stamina, and stamina keeps you alive. Because the real danger is Scissorman, Bobby Barrows. Whenever he appears, the game enters panic mode. Depending on Jennifer's condition, she may stumble, slow down, and collapse entirely, leading to instant death. There are no weapons, no combat. Your only option is to run or hide. This formula, helplessness, stalking, unpredictability, became the backbone of survival horror for years to come. The PS1 sequel expanded these ideas with new systems. Your cursor changes color to indicate your strength level: white, flashing yellow, and finally red, meaning you're near panic. The game plays out in 4 scenarios, including a prologue. Your choices during the prologue determine your main character for the rest of the game: Jennifer Simpson or Helen Maxwell. From there, the story branches dramatically. Items you pick up, areas you visit, people you talk to, all of it changes the flow of the scenarios and determines which of the 10 endings you receive. Struggle Within altered the formula slightly. Incorporating Alyssa's split personalities, the core gameplay remained point and click, but the horror became more psychological. The story was more chaotic, and the fans remain divided to this day, but its ambition is undeniable. Clock Tower 3 changed everything. It adopted a fixed third-person camera, giving the player direct control over Alyssa Hamilton. While you still couldn't fight enemies normally, boss battles became theatrical, almost supernatural duels. Levels featured restless spirits, murdered by monstrous subordinates. These spirits would attack Alyssa unless she found a sentimental item belonging to them and returned it to their corpse, granting peace. It was bold, it was strange, and despite its flaws, Clock Tower 3 had a distinct charm and cinematic style all its own. Jennifer Simpson, along with Laura, Anne, and Lottie, 3 fellow orphans, is adopted by a mysterious Barrows family. They are taken to a mansion only known as the Clock Tower. Moments after they arrive, the lights go out, the girls vanish, Jennifer is left alone, and the nightmare begins. She soon encounters Bobby Barrows, the deformed child wielding a massive pair of scissors. As Jennifer explores the mansion, she uncovers the grotesque history of the Barrows mansion and the truth about Mary, the woman who brought them here. Depending on the player's actions, Jennifer may discover Simon Barrows imprisoned, her dead father, hidden chambers, occult churches, or the more monstrous Dan Barrows himself. The game branches into multiple endings, A, B, C, and others, each revealing different facets of the Barrows tragedy. After surviving the original massacre, Jennifer is adopted by Helen Maxwell, a criminal psychology professor in Norway. But the terror isn't over. A new wave of killings suggests the Scissorman has returned. The game unfolds across several chapters: a frantic escape from the university, a search for the demon idol, a key to destroying Scissorman, and a final confrontation in Barrows Castle. Who you play as, and how the story concludes, depends entirely on your choices, leading to 10 possible endings. Our new protagonist, Alyssa Hale, is on her way to visit family friends when she discovers that she's being hunted by a cursed lineage known as the Maxwell family. Alyssa struggles with a violent alternate personality named Bates, who emerges during moments of stress. The story dives into curses, possession, zombie outbreaks, family betrayal, and a killer wearing an Oni mask, George Maxwell. After escaping a collapsing laboratory and losing her father, Alyssa mourns alone, believing she should have died instead. Set in London, 14-year-old Alyssa Hamilton ignores her mother's warnings and returns home, only to be thrust into a supernatural journey through time. First, she's transported to World War II-era London, witnessing the murder of a young pianist named Mary, hunted by the monstrous Sledgehammer. She then travels to the 1960s, reliving the brutal killings of Dorothy Rand and her son Corroder, and finally she faces the deranged Chopper. Alyssa soon discovers she is a Rooter, a girl with supernatural powers destined to fight entities. Her grandfather Dick becomes possessed by the spirit of Lord Burroughs, becoming the Dark Gentleman. In a final showdown atop a massive clock tower, Alyssa uses the last of her Rooter power and her mother's spirit to defeat Burroughs and end the curse. But Clock Tower's spirit didn't die with the franchise. In 2005, Capcom released Haunting Grounds, a spiritual successor to Clock Tower 3. You play as Fiona Belly, who awakens in a cage beneath a mysterious castle. Along her journey, she befriends Huey, a white German shepherd who becomes both a companion and a protector. Haunting Grounds brings back everything fans loved: the feeling of being hunted, psychological terror, an isolated, oppressive castle, and unsettling stalker enemies pursuing you relentlessly. But the true spiritual successor came from Hifumi Kono himself. In 2016, Kono returned with Nightcry. Funded through Kickstarter, set aboard a luxury cruise ship, passengers beginning to turn up dead, victims of the relentless Scissor Walker. Nightcry modernized the old Clock Tower formula: 3D point-and-click movement, stamina-based pursuit, hiding to survive, inventory puzzles, and multiple endings shaped by your choices. It was rough around the edges, but undeniably Clock Tower at the heart. Clock Tower remains one of the most unique and influential survival horror franchises ever made. It predates many of the genre's giants, yet its atmosphere, helplessness, and stalker-focused tension still feels hauntingly fresh today. From Jennifer Simpson's desperate escape in 1995 to Alyssa Hamilton's supernatural battles in Clock Tower 3, from Haunting Grounds' eerie castle to Nightcry's doomed cruise ship, the legacy of Clock Tower lives on. And as long as the fans remember the sound of scissors echoing down a hallway, Clock Tower will never truly be forgotten.